Hello everyone and welcome back to the Suburban Rifleman. Recently I was contacted by an optics company that I didn't really know anything about, but they offered to send me a scope, and I'm always interested in checking out a new optic, and the company is called Aquilifer. I was, again, not familiar with this name. That's a Latin word. It was actually a position in the Roman Legion, the guy who carried the standard of the Legion into battle, you know, the golden eagle on the top of a staff. That guy was called the Aquilifer, so that's kind of a cool name, although it doesn't really have anything to do with the scope in question. Aquilifer originally asked me if I wanted to check out a target scope, a first focal plane, target scope, high magnification with a big objective lens. But we played communications tag for a while, and by the time we actually got coordinated, that had turned into an LPVO, a second focal plane LPVO. This scope is the TP 1:8 by 24 IR. I don't know if you'll be able to see. It has a horseshoe dot reticle, kind of like an ACSS reticle, but then it's got a range-finding Christmas tree underneath that, which is kind of cool. So you could use this. It goes down to 1 power, so you could shoot this with both eyes open and use it as a CQB sight, but you can zoom in to 8 power and employ this Christmas tree range-finding reticle to engage targets out at longer range. Here is the scope. It came in this fairly nice box. Nothing too fancy. I think there was a microfiber cloth in there and an instruction manual and some packing materials. Here is the scope itself. This is pretty much a general use scope, or you could even use it as a CQB sight with that horseshoe dot reticle. It probably shouldn't be mounted on a big SPR barrel. Rifle like this one, this is an 18-inch SPR barrel. This is fairly heavy. This is sort of my target rifle, but it's the one rifle I had with a piece of pick rail that was open for the taking. So I mounted the scope up on this rifle and we took it out to the range this afternoon and shot it a little bit. I don't know how much I can tell you about the scope. The optics are very, very clear. Now, this goes down to a true 1 power, or just about 1 power. And as such, and you can shoot with both eyes open, but because this is an optical scope and it has lenses in it and you can focus it and all that, there are some tricks that have to go on with the physics inside the scope, and I'm not a optical engineer, so I don't understand all of this. But to get it down to true 1 power and still have it with lenses and focusability and everything, you've got to kind of squish stuff up in there and make things work. And so what happens is at 1 power you get sort of a little bit of spherical distortion. If you move your eye around inside the eye box, you get a little bit of distortion at the edges of your field of vision. But when you zoom in to, let's go halfway, to 4 power, that goes away entirely. The quality of this glass seems to be quite nice. The horseshoe dot reticle itself lights up nice and it's crisp, and your eye can really pick it up well. There's 11 brightness settings in the best Spinal Tap fashion. I don't know why Chinese companies like to put 11 settings. Maybe it has something to do with electronics and rheostats and things like that, but it does go all the way up to 11. At 11, it's way too bright for in here under these levels, although it works well on a sunny day. But at, say, 3 or so is just about right at these indoor light levels. So again, we had this out at the range today. We were shooting steel out to 200 yards with no problems whatsoever. A couple of things I like about this scope. It does have sort of target knobs. They are thumb adjustable. They're knurled, and you can set the 0 on them. And they're not the most audible clicks in the world, but they are positive clicks. But so often nowadays, even on an LPVO like this, which is not meant to be mounted on a DMR rifle, this is not for shooting at long range. This is for general use at sort of intermediate ranges. They put these big, monstrous target knobs, and I do appreciate knobs being finger adjustable, but they can get bumped, they can get messed with. Some of them lock, some of them don't. Some of them have a 0 stop on them, some of them don't. But they can get knocked around, they can get messed with, and they can screw up your point of aim. The thing I really like about this particular LPVO, it's got those thumb adjustable knobs, but it also has functional turret caps. So you can screw these down on there. They've got an O-ring in there, which is pretty much standard practice. Helps keep the thing weatherproof. But most importantly, it protects those knobs and keeps them from getting bumped out of whack while you're out in the field. I like knobs to be easily adjustable, but I don't need immediate access to them on a scope like this. I don't know what else I can say about this scope. We've got a 30mm tube. Again, the lenses are quite nice, even though it's got a 24mm objective, which is relatively small. It gathers light fairly well. And the 30mm tube is great for light transmission. This thing's very bright even under relatively low light conditions. So the Aquilifer 1:8x24 SFP, which is, I think there's an item number here. No, there isn't, but I will post a link to the product in the description text down below if you're interested in this scope. It looks like a good quality scope. I don't know an awful lot about Aquilifer. I think they're relatively new on the market, and I will be interested to see how their product line develops. Hopefully I can get my hands on another one of these scopes and do another review in the future. And when I do that, I hope to see each of you then. Later, guys.